Hey everybody, it's Romania Black. Ooh, we're on episode 3 of Link Click. To lose, not to win. Ooh, I don't know what that means, but I'm pretty excited. This show has such a weird vibe, but I love it. It's different than any show I'm watching right now. It strikes me there's like a realistic element, kind of like Banana Fish to it, where it's taking place in modern times. And there's not really so much a fantasy vibe as there's like a science fiction vibe to it. And I'm not really watching, I've watched a lot of fantasy shows, and Banana Fish is probably the most grounded, real show that I've watched. And this one kind of comes in right alongside it. So I really like that. But yeah, I have today off of work, so I'm like, I'm going to watch some Link Click, and I'm really excited. The last 2 episodes have been really good setting up Lu and Chang, their dynamic, how this world works. The only thing we aren't really privy to is has Lu always had this power? Did he get it as a kid? Was it given to him? How did the power manifest? That's the big thing, is the power itself. Like, where did it come from? How did Lu get it? Is Chang the only partner Lu's had? Or has Lu had partners in the past that didn't work out because they changed the past? We don't know. So that's going to be kind of the lingering questions. And obviously don't spoil me because I'm going in blind to this. But that's going to be my lingering questions as I watch the series. But Space Monkey on Patreon worded this quite nice. I liked it. It was more about the consequences of what happens rather than the science behind it. So I really like that phrasing, Space Monkey. I was like, oh yeah, so it's like IDK magic. Like, it's not really the fact that he can do it. It's just what happens because he does it. So I don't know. But the last episode had some really cool like commentary about gender in it. I've noticed that Chang, as I commented in the last 2 episodes, has inhabited women throughout these last 2 episodes in the memories. So I'm curious if he's ever going to inhabit another man or if it's going to be just a woman the whole time. I don't know. But I really like this series. It's got just the right kind of unique vibe to it. But I'm really curious to know, now that we've picked 2 episodes to set things up, what's going to happen from here. And I also want to note that several of you have pointed out that there is actually an OVA that takes place in between episodes 5 and episode 6. It's episode 5.5. And I believe it's on Funimation as episode 5.5. So I will be watching that in between, since it's like it's its own episode. So yay. But in any case, let's start, shall we? We are going to start episode 3 of Link Click. And we're going to do that here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Oh no. Oh my gosh. Oh no. This is not good. Not good. So, so yeah, not good. I really did not think this was going to be a 2-parter. I did not think that at all. I thought this was just going to be a nice little standalone story, and then I lost track of time, and then towards the end of it, I was like, okay, well, they're just going to... I thought what was going to happen was that they were going to pass... Oh God, gets complicated. Because I thought he was going to pass it to the one guy and be like, okay, the one guy is going to... He's going to goof, he's going to miss the shot, and that's going to make him lose. But what he should have done, because in the moment I was like, if he took the 3 and made it, then they would have won. But that's not what happens. Instead, so the question is, I got to go back through this and see if this guy actually shot a 3-pointer or a 2-pointer, because if it was a 2-pointer, it would tie the game, and if it was a 3-pointer, then they win. Because when he originally was going to shoot the 3, I was like, well, if he makes it, then they're going to win the game. But I thought, well, Chang, you could have deliberately have missed. You could have deliberately have missed, but he got caught up. He emotionally got caught up in the moment and was projecting himself alongside the memories of this guy and his feelings. And so this is quite a dangerous ability, because, especially for someone like Chang, because the ability is allowing him to embody someone, embody their memories, and then also live through them along with his own memories and feelings, just to kind of guide their actions, and not necessarily guide them, but kind of go along the way, and then he can kind of collect information through that person. So Chang is like the worst person to be having this responsibility, because he's so emotional and he's so empathetic that he instantly connects with the people that he's embodying and possessing. And so someone like Lu, that is much more pragmatic and like stoic, would have been better suited for this role, but he's the director, he's the one guiding. So it's kind of like a catch-22 here. It's like he can't Lou can't embody the person, even though he's the most qualified for it. But you can't have the power work unless Lou's directing it. So, but we need to go back through this episode. This episode was really, really good. I felt like for this episode we were like derailing into a sports anime, and I was thinking when I started the reaction, I was like, this genre that Link Click is kind of different than any other genre I'm watching right now. And then we devolved into a sports anime. I was like, well, it's been a while, Slam Dunk. How you doing? I've not watched Kuroko no Basketball yet, so I forgot that this was Lynn right here at the very beginning. I thought it looked kind of like her, but I was like, is it? And then, yeah, the whole jogging angle. And of course, to tie up her psyche, they tie back to the story. So it's been a couple months, it seems, since the girl died. It said back in September. So it seems like a couple months since she died. The girl that was killed. And now, see, here's the thing. Because Chang changed the future, she died, but now they're ruling it as could have been a homicide. And so it's going to start changing all sorts of things in reality. So that's the butterfly effect, right? It's starting to take effect. But yeah, so, and then of course they give us this little thing about how women around in the surrounding area should pay attention to their mental and physical health. And it's like, as she's jogging, which is supposed to take care of her physical and mental health. But then there's this creepy guy that's just lurking in the shadows. I'm like, dude, I know that he seems innocent. We find out he's innocent after the fact, but in the moment I was like, oh no, the bait and switch here was really well done, because I was like, is this guy gonna... I thought it was the guy that committed the homicides at first, and we honestly don't know if it isn't or not. Could have dyed his hair, we don't know. But the fact that she turns around and then Lou, yeah, and of course maybe he did that, maybe he was reaching for her because she couldn't hear, but yeah, Lou's like, excuse me, who you be? Yeah, who is he? And why was he stalking you? Yeah, and then this guy, Chen Xiao, an architect. It's spread around the internet. Someone can enter the photo. Yeah, so it's all spreading around. And of course, Lynn's like, a customer. And so, yeah, this shady underground business is starting to leak out, right? And they say, some say the boss is a fair lady and others say she's a witch. And she's like, excuse me, I'm in my 20s, thank you. But yeah, so we don't get much about the power again in this episode. It's just, we get the idea that it's kept quiet and its underground reputation is starting to get them more clientele. So we don't know exactly how long it's been since this photo was taken, because the guy has like little laugh lines. So you assume that maybe he's like in his late 20s or 30s. He's definitely not in high school anymore. And the fact that he says he's an architect means that he's at least been through college. So he's probably like in at least his mid 20s. So, okay. But the idea, yeah, so this is a very strange request that this guy is wanting to essentially change the past. So I don't know. Maybe that's his whole goal. And she's like, and I've been calling her Lynn, but her name is Xiao Xiao. Is Xiao Xiao, maybe? So yeah, with this episode, what was being titled, If Your Pictures Aren't Good Enough, You're Not Close Enough. I like that caption. Nice. So yeah, so the whole title of this episode, To Lose, Not to Win, that was the goal. The angle was that they were supposed to lose the game. And then he was going to try to correct what happened by talking to the captain afterwards. Because yeah, they frame it like this guy just had a really, really bad day. And so yeah, they say this is a picture that he developed several years ago. So, okay, so they developed it. Do they have to develop it through a certain film or something in order for it to work? Maybe? In order for it to work with his power? Okay. Maybe there's something to that. The photographer of the school newspaper. The last photo before their big game. And he took it, so he wasn't actually part of it. Yeah. So they lost the game, missed his first love, and quarreled with his mom in the end. So who's his first love? Interesting. And how does he know it was his first? So was the captain his first love? I don't know. And quarreled with his mother. And so I just wanted to say a few words to each of them to make up for my past regrets. I'm like, you're essentially changing the future, right? So why did Lou take the job if he knew how dangerous this was? Yeah, because even Chang comments on it. He's like, this is going to affect the past. Why are we doing this? But then Lou says that it'll be fine that nothing's going to be changed. So I'm like, how do you know this though? I also want to point out that in the flashback, both Lu and Chang don't have like the red bags under their eyes. They look more fresh. They look much fresher. So clearly this business that they're running is taking a toll on their sleep and energy, right? I love the angle of this gym because let me tell y'all, I have grown up in a rural area. This gym, it looks sketch and it's run down. And it's an exaggeration, right? I mean, it's pretty exaggerated how run down this gym is. There's just like, it's an old factory building that they've turned into a basketball. It made sense after they said it was a factory building that they turned into a basketball hall, because you can tell they've just painted on the lines themselves, and they found 2 rusty goals, and there's like a couple sets of bleachers. Like, it's very, very shoddy, and there's like couches and stuff and some old trucks in the background. Here's the thing. This is obviously an exaggeration for effect to show how poor this school is, but like the high school I went to school at is not much different than this. Like, as far like we had a nice gym, but the idea that the area just doesn't have a lot of funding, and so it can't really have the resources to make something. And you can see in the background, like the hangar, like the doors are open. So this is clearly just a building that's been converted. But the idea that these guys just started a basketball team, they started a basketball team to do something they were passionate about, and it just kind of, and their only way they can keep the court is if they keep on winning. Like that's something I can relate to, because even in high school, like we had things that we had to start on our own that we didn't have the funding for, and it was kind of the same boat as these guys. So I like it. I also like how it's a nice, more realistic look at starting up a team, because I'll be honest, if you're looking at Donghua versus anime, I'm a huge Free fan. Free Iwatobi Swim Club, massive fan. It's one of my favorite sports anime. It's my comfort anime. I love it. But I will say, in comparison to this episode, the whole startup, like all Free had to do, all the guys for Free had to do was find a teacher to be their sponsor, and lo and behold, oh look, we happen to already have a pool. You guys just got to clean it up, and then we'll give you some funding to start out with, and if you win some more matches, we'll give you some more funding. It all fell into place much easier and better because the school in Iwatobi is clearly a nicely run school that has funding. The commentary in this episode is that this school doesn't have those resources, so they're much more focused as an academic school, and they're like, we really don't have the funds to start out a basketball team, because what's the profit going to be for us, right? And so I can totally relate to these guys in this episode and to the administration, because like my high school, it was like you needed to get good grades so you could get a scholarship for college, because there weren't a lot of other resources or options for you. So I can totally relate to this episode and this team and the captain number 8 and his struggle to, like, he wants to keep going and keep the team winning so that they can keep on playing and get more resources, you know? He wants to create something that's going to last beyond him, because they established that if they lose this game, it's his last basketball game. So clearly he's like in his final year of school. Yeah. I love it. And I love like the tiny little details. Like you've got like all the players, their shoes are all different, because they all are, it's just like a little makeshift team that came together. But man, this black team here, Loyang, it's like the epitome of a antagonistic sports anime team. It's complete with the blonde main captain that's the rival. It's great. It's great. So here's the thing. Everything starts out like Chang essentially changes the future from the get-go by snapping that photo that had the flash, right? He snapped it from the beginning. And that really is that's what really set this whole chain into motion. If he hadn't flashed and it caught the captain's eye, then the captain wouldn't have been in a position to get hit by this guy and hit his knee. Yeah, wouldn't have happened. And then this whole episode would have gone down completely differently. So Chang did alter the future from the start. Yeah, did I just affect the historical track? And Lu's like, and you can tell he's just like, yep, you did. But the results have not changed. Okay, so at this point, Lu could still see in the future. And he's like, the results haven't changed because nothing else has been altered. Even if the captain goes out and you play, it's not going to make a difference, right? Interesting. Yeah, and then the rest of this game is and I like the commentary of Chang. Chang being set up as being a basketball player. So that's interesting. That of course he's a basketball player and that he's competitive and he doesn't want to lose. And so he's like, Lou, can I go in and play? Should I play? And Lou's like, well, you disturbed the past, so I can't tell what would have happened before they lost the game. So yeah, you can go in and play. The results, all Lou can see are the results. He's like, I can't see what's going to lead up to the results, just that it happens. So yeah, you can go in and play. But here's the thing. Chang, you know they're supposed to lose the game. So ideally, Chang should have just played terribly like a bench warmer would, and then the past wouldn't have changed. But because he's competitive and he gets all into it, he can't do that. And of course it catches all these guys' attentions. They're like, oh, this guy can play. And I like that the captain's like, oh, you've been secretly practicing this whole time? And it's like, sure. The animation in this episode is gorgeous. Like the shadows, the lighting, the movement. It's beautiful. Like for a second I was like, Link Click, you could become a sports anime. It's fine. it's so good. Like it's not even that genre, and it just does so well to have the fluidity and movement. And then Lou instantly in that moment is like, in that moment, he effed up. Like, because he realizes, we go back to him and Chang first meeting. I guess they do kind of have red circles under their eyes. They just look brighter. And Chang invites him to play ball with him. And I like the metaphor that the basketball it's a symbol of trust. That playing together is a symbol of trust between one another. And in the end, he trusts his teammate to make the shot, and he does, and it's like, oh no. And so, but the coach asking them why they play basketball, and it's like, because it's their passion, because it's the trust in one another, because it's like something they believe in. It's, man, it's so good this episode, but I'm like, oh no, Chang. And then Chang tries to cover for it by pretending to like get in the way or get out in the worst spot or like to leave things open, and the team just assumes that he's trying to strategize, and it's like, no, oh no. And then yeah, but the problem is I think he really could have intentionally lost at the end there, and he still would have altered what he said to the captain, because in that moment right before the end with the captain, he kind of did mend things a little bit. So I'm wondering who the first love was, if the first love was the captain or if it's somebody else that was watching the game. The moment the light shines down on number 7 for the opposition, and he's like, now I'll get my revenge. It's like, I love that this show is poking fun at the sports anime genre in this one episode and calling it a team sport. And then the captain is trying to justify Chang's actions, and he's like, that's really not what I was doing, but okay, sure. And I love when this show does like little chibi animation. It's adorable. But yeah, dumb luck. So yeah, and Chang's trying to alter, and it's just, and the captain goes back in, but clearly he's not well, and his knee is not good enough to be playing that long, and he has a limp. So it's like, yeah, he's just going in. He's going in to play his last game. If he doesn't play now, there may be no chances for him in the future. Yeah. And our town's not big and the resources are limited, as you can see. Yeah. So you get the backstory from the chemistry teacher that's the coach. And you can even see like the school's run down. Like it just looks like a rural high school that just doesn't have a lot of resources. And the administration doesn't care about it because they're like, look, it's not helping us any. So I don't know why we should let y'all keep it. We've never had a basketball team. Yeah. And the captain being like, at least trying. So the main guy, Zhao, becomes an architect. So during this episode, I was wondering, I was like, so if he becomes an architect, he could go back and maybe work on the basketball hall as a project to make up for what happened that day. And so I'm so curious, because it seems like this whole episode, there was 3 missions, right? 3 missions happened in a row. They lost the game. He missed his first love, and then he quarreled with his mom. So in this episode, we're just on the basketball game. And now if the love and the mom are tied into that, we don't know for sure yet. But I was thinking that in this episode, it was going to be kind of like the last episode where the architect, Zhao, realizes what he's done and uses his talents to go back and fix things to make it up to the captain. But maybe that just hasn't crossed his mind yet, or he hasn't been able to. I don't know. The basketball dream is just like the Arabian Nights for them. It's like, And he wants to help him, but he's not supposed to. But I love this moment that when he gets back to Lu and Chang in the flashback. We'll be partners in the future. Sure. Yep. Just for fun. Why do you take it so seriously? And he's like, I'm not taking it seriously. When I pass to you, it represents my trust in you. And how precious it is to be with trustworthy partners in our life. So it's like the relationships we have in the sport are extensions of our own lives. And Lu seems like kind of like, oh, what an epiphany in that moment. And I love that the high five is a representation of them, you know, like the dive, the high five, and then passing the ball, a representation of passing that trust. And I like that Lu holding the ball and then he's back in the house holding it or thinking about it. The visual metaphors in here and the way the symbolism like weaves in between the past and the present. And Lu has to remind him, he's like, you're living another person's life, not your own. You're in the past. And he's like, well, the guy wanted me to make up for regrets in the past. And it's like, but you're not supposed to change the future. I'm like, that's such a delicate balance. I was like, how did they think this was going to work? Them not changing the future. How did they think it wasn't going to work? So yeah, and then we go back to where they're down by so many. And I love the lighting, like the way the light turns blue. And there's like the blue neon lights as he goes through and like blocks it. It's so cool visually. But yeah, but here's the thing. So they break his glasses and little do they know that Chang can actually see. And the glasses were actually bothering him because he was inhabiting Xiao's body, but he didn't need the glasses. So there's that. So yeah, eat up the clock. Okay, so there's 8 seconds left and it's 45 to 47. And Lu is right. He's like, okay, easy peasy. Just miss the shot. You've lost the game. The past has not changed. Easy. But when he goes to shoot the ball, yeah, and so they go back. And I wanted to catch this. So he clearly isn't going to make the shot. But when he throws it back to the one guy, is he in the 2-point or 3-point lane? He's in the 3-point. Oh, no. And he was in the 3-point. Oh, no. And it goes in. And the moment that the music started kicking in, I was like, oh, no. And then it cuts. How dare it? How dare it? It's going to be really hard not watching the next episode. Like, immediately. Oh my God, this was woof. Woof. So yeah. Oh God. So I don't know. We're kind of in like the last time we altered the future, a girl died. So there was that. So what's going to happen now? Oh, because this is definitely altering the future. This is problematic. Okay. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Time travel is always so scary because it's like the butterfly effect, or like one thing throws the entire thing off and it's like, what we going to do now? So I honestly have no clue how this is going to go. I'm like, you can't lose the game anymore. It's not going to happen. So I'm like, do you try to make the other things go right with the future? Do you make him miss the love and quarrel with the mom anyway? Or how are we doing this? I mean, you've already altered the future. The future is altered. So how does this work? Oh no. I don't know, but I'm scared. So yeah, don't spoil me, obviously, but I'm really nervous. So there's that. Yay. But I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, right? So yeah, in the meantime, I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. This was a really good episode, but I am terrified now. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to wait a week until I watch episode 4. So there's that. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back next week with episode 4 of Link Click. Bye.